so they can. I mean, I just cannot imagine how many people would have to die to change this law. I know that there have been at least one death I know of, a person who was in a nursing home when the emergency medical assistance was cut off. They were taken to Hennepin County because the nursing home said they're not being paid for anymore. We can't keep them here, and that person died. It was drastically cut in the last session, and what's odd about it is the part that the Republican leadership focused on undocumented citizens and other immigrants was not apparent to most people because this negotiation happened kind of in the dead of night. If you recall, it was a special session, and the negotiations were going on between the governor's office and the Republican leadership, and the Democratic leadership, including my own senator at the time, Senator Linda Berglund, who was an expert in this whole area, were kept outside of the room where the negotiations were going on. They were not even allowed to participate in any way. So there was language inserted that drastically affected emergency medical assistance, but it wasn't apparent because sometimes those numbers of the statutes and so on, they're known by the people who are working with them very closely, but they're not necessarily known by others who are less familiar. I, of course, am very concerned about undocumented people who were, as I understand it, the intention was to cut them off. The intention maybe wasn't to cut off some of the other immigrant Minnesotans. But even so, I think some of our Republican leadership were a little bit appalled to realize how serious this would be. A person on dialysis can't be cut off and live more than a few days. A person who needs their insulin, a person who needs their psychiatric medication, a person who needs their chemotherapy. There may be opportunities in the new legislation this year to try to fill in some of the gaps that will allow then those services that might have found that they were not able to provide services to our undocumented citizens, to find a little bit of flexibility so they can. I mean, I just cannot imagine how many people would have to die to change this law. I know that